The official trailer for Season 1, or Series 14, is now out, and it featured a familiar face from the not so distant past. Sort of. So let's get into it and go through this trailer.
Give me the loving!
The trailer opens back in modern day London at Unit Tower, the same location that the giggle was set in. The TARDIS comes in, fast and hard, hitting the landing zone and sliding straight inside. He exits, exclaiming,
Give me the loving!
which I assume is either to Kate, Mel or Rose, all three of which are returning for this new series, and due to be in the same episode together, which from what I've gathered, may be a two-part finale. Notice how in this shot though of the TARDIS sliding through, Rose is actually the only one of the three in shot at the time. When the TARDIS comes to a stop, the doors seem to be facing away from Rose, so I don't feel like it's her the Doctor's speaking to, rather than Mel or Kate. We can also see Lenny Rush's character on the right hand side of Una, just as the TARDIS is sliding down the walkway on his Segway.
Where did he come from?
I don't know, he sort of popped up at the right moment.
We then see the TARDIS on top of a cliffside, as the same one that I think Ruby was being watched by a mysterious figure in the distance while she stood by the TARDIS. This time it's a long shot of the TARDIS actually just on the cliff. It continues with Carla inquiring more about the Doctor to Ruby, asking where he came from, and Ruby not being able to fully answer her questions. This is where reused footage of the Church of Ruby Road comes in, just as a way to remind us of the fact that Ruby has already had an adventure with the Doctor.
And then he spoke about time travel.
Ruby,
You want to know my secret?
We get another shot of the TARDIS flying through London, heading towards Unit Tower, which is most likely connected to the first scene of the TARDIS landing and sliding through. I feel like we're about to get a running theme through this series as the TARDIS materialises back inside the Sunday flat. Except, unlike previous times we've seen the Doctor do this, the TARDIS materialises, breaking apart the ceiling. I'm unclear if the Sunday ceiling's just very low, or if the TARDIS is just larger than normal. But it's seemingly going to be continuing a trend from the Christmas special where the Sunday ceiling gets damaged. How many more times is it going to get damaged during this season? Then we see more reused Christmas footage with the audio over the top of the Doctor talking about a secret to Ruby and who he is and what he can do.
I have the whole universe at my fingertips.
And I'm all on my own. I'd love it if you came with me.
We then get to see a little bit more of the Church of Ruby Road, of Ruby walking into the TARDIS, mixed with stuff that we've already seen from the teaser trailer.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
The trailer then moves on with David Bowie's changes becoming more prominent, playing in the background, revealing the second episode of the show, The Devil's Court. We know this is the episode based on the clothing being the 60s era and what we've learnt in the teaser trailer. There's another scene of the Doctor wearing what reminds me a lot of Matt Smith wearing monk robes, but I don't actually feel like these are monk robes this time. They appear to look more worn, and he's standing inside what looks to be a tattered tent, which I think may be some kind of refugee planet or location of people surviving with very little. And then the Regency episode. This is where a familiar face pops back up, in none other than David Tennant's 10th Doctor. Yep, that's right. Not long after we last saw David Tennant's 14th Doctor, the 10th Doctor is now making an appearance. However, this isn't a proper appearance, it just seems to be reused footage for a hologram. But this episode also features Jonathan Groff's character, that a lot of people are assuming is a recast Captain Jack Harkness. Maybe the fact that 10's hologram has appeared here is a clue that it is the new Jack, and they're bringing the 10th Doctor's face in as a hologram to get us more familiar with this being a new Jack.
It's called the TARDIS. It's a time and space machine.
Is it safe?
No idea.
As a trend with this trailer, they show more Christmas footage. This time it's where Mrs. Flood witnessed the TARDIS dematerialising. With the Doctor explaining to Ruby what the TARDIS is, Ruby asks if it's safe. So of course, the TARDIS goes wrong, lifting both of them up into the air whilst they're holding onto the console for safety, revealing the vortex, which is seemingly just taken from the intro, but the show is really utilising the lighting on the TARDIS walls this time, just like they said they could do.
What if I change history by stepping on a butterfly?
Well, that's not gonna happen, is it?
Oh, what's wrong?
We get to learn more about where this series is going, this time with dinosaurs in prehistoric era. We get the age-old question from Ruby about stepping on a butterfly causing time to change. This is likely a callback to Martha Jones, another one of Russell's companions, and the only of the three not to get a callback in some way during the 60th specials. However, Ruby does step on a butterfly, and it changes her appearance to be more like a bug-like creature. Although her head looks very bug-like, part of her body that we can actually see appears to be very tree-like. I have a feeling this may take place in an episode that explores the dangers and changes of time travel.
With all my adventures,
Never seen anything like this before.
Oh my, Bridgerton! This place is completely mad.
The trailer moves on and we get a glimpse at a space station of sorts, with the TARDIS flying towards it. I've noticed in this trailer, even though we've seen materialisation, flight seems to be happening a lot more often than we've seen before. Yes, of course we have seen it before, but this trailer seems to be showing off a fair bit more than usual. Not sure what episode the ship could be part of, but I originally suspected this could be where the monster's chasing them from. But going back to the teaser trailer, them scenes made it feel like it was set on Earth. The space station does appear to be orbiting an Earth-like planet, water and land masses with city lights for the nighttime. However, this planet has two rings from different angles, one from the left-hand side going around the planet and the other from the top heading down. We get a scene of the Doctor and Ruby, who look like they're in a military-like scenario this time, purely based on their clothing, both wearing green trousers and a shirt tank top, but I could be taking that the wrong way. The Doctor's holding a yellow device, which I imagine is a controller of some kind. Moving back to the Regency episode, it's showing some of the characters from this era appearing to be part of the enemies that the Doctor will go up against, including Indira Varma, who previously appeared in Torchwood. We see the change in their appearances into bird-like creatures, whilst Ruby inside of the manor references Netflix Bridgerton, which was also set during the Regency era. Perhaps due to this reference, Ruby likes Bridgerton, and she's asked the Doctor if she can take him to the location. And now we get to a scene of an old lady looking up and screaming at something, following of Jinx Monsoon's baddie attacking something with her powers. The scenes are framed together pretty well, but they're clearly from two separate scenes, perhaps even two different episodes. Going back to Monsoon's character, we get to see what they can actually do. They appear to be able to use their movements to control physical manifestations of music chords. So we move on to an alien looking planet, which features Ruby holding a gun and shooting something into the sky. We know the Doctor doesn't like guns, but he can't do anything here this time, as this clip seems to back up what I thought in the teaser trailer, and that's that the Doctor is stuck on a mine of sorts. You can see him on the right hand side of the shot, standing on a disc that's glowing green, but we can also see other people on the planet. But then there's also a machine facing the Doctor, which I think may actually be some kind of bomb disposal unit trying to disarm the mine the Doctor is stood on.
Things seem to be turning more and more supernatural.
Is that monster?
No, don't be silly. There's no such thing as monsters. They're just creatures you haven't met yet.
Kate explains the state of the universe being more supernatural, and coming from Kate, this says a lot. I'm taking this as her meaning more supernatural from a unit viewpoint, rather than the standard supernatural definition. It also shows a scene from The Devil's Chord, which shows a creature trying to push its way out of the drum set, which reminds me a lot of the Adipose from Series 4. Following on from Kate's statement, we see things starting to feel more supernatural. A creature standing off against a woman, streetlight glowing strangely and glass breaking with a hooded figure pointing in the snow, which I can only assume is pointing at the glowing streetlights. I suspect this hooded woman is actually the woman who dropped Ruby off at the church in the Christmas special, and we're going to be exploring more of this. The cloak seems to match quite well, as well as the snowy background. We then return to the scene of the creature that I was talking about from the teaser trailer. The Doctor explains there's no such thing as monsters, just creatures you haven't met yet. This is exactly what we heard from the teaser trailer.
There are powers beyond the universe, so vast.
Continuing with the previous clip, we get a closer look at the creature, which is feeling very swamp-like to me. I suspect that this is one of the early adventures in the season. Then we move on to a dust cloud flowing through London, with people running away from it, even leaving their cars to escape. I suspect this is tied into the Unit episode in some way, as I feel like the scene of Mel and the Doctor on a moped in the teaser trailer matches up to this quite well. We get Lenny Rush again as a vault opens for him in the group. Kate and Rose can be seen as the vault opens, and I believe the red sleeve person behind the Doctor is going to be Mel, as when we saw her on the moped she was also wearing red. I'm under the impression that Lenny Rush will be involved in the mysterious Triad technology that's been referenced a few times in the show so far, and I believe this will be what the arc's about, just like when we had Torchwood. We move on to a scene of the Doctor in space, in his TARDIS, screaming out into space. I believe this may be one of the final scenes of the series. We know that Millie is leaving to be replaced in Series 15 Season 2, so maybe this is the Doctor sad and angry, screaming to the universe. We can also see that he's wearing the same clothes from the Unit episode. Obviously Millie is coming back for Series 15, or Season 2, but I suspect she's going to be leaving at the end of the series and then she's going to become recurring in the next season. Kinda like what Martha did. More footage from the Christmas special of the clock striking midnight. I firmly believe that we're going to be revisiting this storyline this season, just because the amount of the Christmas scenes have been reused for this trailer.
The whole world could slide into the pit. This is what we're trying to stop.
We see the Devil's Chord episode, which is showing the TARDIS lights are being utilised for colour changing to feel more like the 60s. We know it's the same episode due to the clothing the two are wearing. And the TARDIS, as usual, is malfunctioning in some way. We then get to London completely destroyed. This is in some way connected to the same episode, as Ruby is still wearing her clothes from the 60s themed episode. What I believe is the same episode as the one where the Doctor is trapped on the mine, we get a better look at the location, which now seems to be more Warzone-like. I did wonder if the device that was going off was the mine, or another version of a mine that the Doctor was stood on, but it does seem to be a different shape and emitting a different colour. Whatever it is, it's left a crater in the ground. We go back to the devastation of London, with the Doctor consoling Ruby. I can only assume this is where they've witnessed something potentially devastating in the future, but not the actual future. Considering the episode is left in the 60s, it's not going to be destroyed. We can see a 77 bus in the background surrounded by the rubble. I'm not from London, but from a quick search it seems like the 77 bus is the Waterloo line.
I'm still her mum. I need to know she'll be okay. You'll keep her safe?
I will keep her safe. I promise.
And then we get back into the family life, and as we know with Russell's time on the show, the Doctor and his companions' families have always been a bit rocky. Apart from Wilf. Wilf loved the Doctor. I mean, to be fair, they all love the Doctor now, but not at the time. This time, we see the Doctor promising to take care of Ruby to Carla, something we never really saw with the Doctor having a heart-to-heart with his companion's family. We saw the Doctor and Carla got on well enough in the Christmas special, so it doesn't seem like anything's going to be changing here. We get to see how strong the musical abilities really are in the next scene. Whilst Ruby's being held up by manifestations of chords in the air, she almost seems motionless in this scene, like the chords are hypnotising you at the same time.
It's taken me all this time to realise what I'm here to do. I'm gonna save the world.
A few scenes later, we go back to what seems to be the TARDIS on the cliff. We can see Ruby sitting down on the grass with a mysterious figure off in the background, behind her, standing there and staring. Likely to be whoever or whatever it is from the teaser trailer as well. The trailer also gives the impression that Ruby won't be joining the Doctor full stop like other companions have. More like a Clara-like relationship, on and off a lot, based on her changing looks and how comfortable she looks in day-to-day life. Doesn't feel like she's staying on the TARDIS consistently. And we get to Ruby in the snow. I believe this is Ruby ending up back in the day that she was dropped off at the church. Will we witness the goblins again in some way, where she's going to see the Doctor saving her as a baby? Back to the location where the Doctor was stuck on a mine, we can now see it's clearly another planet, or potentially even a moon based on how close the planet is in the distance. There's lots of flying machines either spreading dust or removing the dust, flying in a formation across the landscape. I assume they're removing the dust as Ruby seems to watch them go over her with the dust cloud moving away, so it's likely in some way these machines are controlling the cloud. We then get the TARDIS being scanned inside a unit by some green lasers, but if we look in the corner of the screen we can see unit are on red alert, and there's also a reference to the Triad technologies as mentioned before.
Everything is possible. Everything is possible. Time may change me.
We then see the Doctor and Ruby standing in a black room, with light panels going across the floor. I believe this could be some kind of time travel device created by Triad Technologies, and the snow appearing in the room with them is taking them back to Christmas 2004, when Ruby was dropped off as a baby. Then back at the Regency era, at first I thought it was the bird creatures that were being sent off by the Doctor, but now I'm suspecting this may actually be Gruff's character, and the way he's acting does feel like a way the Doctor does act towards Captain Jack, so I'm now slowly getting on board with the theory that it could be Captain Jack. Interestingly though, the TARDIS on the cliffside appears to be abandoned, with the environment and the TARDIS starting to become one. I'm fairly certain this has to be from the same episode of Ruby being watched by the I imagine this could work as a Doctor Light episode perhaps. We get more shots of the 60s themed episode, where either the pre-episode or the post-episode state, everyone's just enjoying themselves with the music in the studio. The Doctor then saying everything is possible is likely a reassurance to Ruby that the mine he has stood on can be disarmed and he'll be fine, just based on the background looking the same as the other scenes.
But I can't trace time.
Back to the machine we saw the Ruby and the Doctor just before, this time it's just Ruby. I don't think this is her doing something separate, this is likely just scenes out of order, and Ruby is there by herself before being joined by the Doctor. We can see the light pattern on the wall matching up to the same ones on the floor, likely the whole room is filled with them, just like the round things on the TARDIS. We briefly see Kate and her unit team, guns ready, looking at something. At first I thought this may be the Doctor's entrance at the beginning of the trailer, but the room feels more empty this time, so I feel like this may be a threat of some kind. Hopefully I noticed as much in this trailer as possible, and I hope you enjoyed watching. I thought the trailer was great, but I thought the editing was a little off. Parts of it felt like it was a fan trailer, but I think that didn't help with the amount of reused scenes from the Church of Ruby Road. But I'm very much excited either way for it to air. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.